Meeting order with the pledge, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Everybody have a chance to look at the minutes?
So moved.
First by legislator Emmons, legislator Lockwood. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries. Thank you. On the resolutions of the day, we're gonna have a few different things going on here. There's some that come in after the fact, and, you know, everything we hate about that. So we'll start off with the GC6 resolution authorizing position reclassification, county clerk, motor vehicle. First by legislator Walpole. Second by legislator Mangano.
You got that one?
Yeah. I have a first and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries. Yes. GC7, this was a walk-in to the committee. It was not in the regular packet, however, it is online. Resolution authorizing budget modification, county attorney's office, liability, and other insurances.
We saw an increase in our cyber liability premium this year due to a couple of state grant-funded programs that required us to carry certain limits. We've also seen increases because of more expensive equipment, price of repairs, and deductibles. So this will get us premium paid through end of year, plus we believe covered deductibles.
Okay, I got a first by legislator Walpole, second by legislator Emmons. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries. Thank you. PS1, resolution authorizing budget modification, sheriff's office, transfer from insurance recovery, treasurer's office to automotive equipment, road division, Ford Explorer.
Move it.
First by legislator Mayo, second by legislator Emmons. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries. Thank you. PS2, resolution authorizing budget modification, sheriff's office transfer from insurance recovery, treasurer's office to automotive equipment, road division, Nissan.
So moved.
First by legislator Emmons, second by legislator Lockwood. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries. Thank you. PS3, resolution authorizing budget modification, sheriff's office transfer from insurance recovery, treasurer's office, other equipment, emergency management, drone. First by legislator Walpole, second by legislator Lockwood. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries. Thank you. PS4, resolution authorizing budget modification, sheriff's office transfer from insurance recovery, treasurer's office to automotive equipment, road division, Ford utility police interceptor.
So moved.
First by legislator Mangano, second by legislator Emmons. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries. Thank you. PS6, resolution authorizing budgetary modification in 911 overtime. First by legislator Walpole, second by legislator Lockwood. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries. 7 is to be amended. I'll have Phil elaborate on that.
Yeah, it doesn't change the, what we're doing with the DA stipends. It's just that I noticed the original resolution referred to the stipends being put into the management compensation plan and amending the plan. Because although the plan is expired, so you can't amend an expired plan. So what I did is alter the resolution simply to have the legislature authorize the stipends, and that they will continue until such time as a new management compensation plan is adopted by the legislature, which it could continue to include the stipends, or the plan may be written in such a way that resolves the issue some other way. And it adds also the budget modification to create the stipend line.
Can I get a first on the amendment? Second, Legislator Mangano on the amendment. All in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
Any opposed? Amendment carries. Now, back to the resolution as amended. First by Legislator Walpole, second by Legislator Mangano. Okay, any discussion? I have a question. Right here.
Yes.
What, now, we're doing a stipend on this. Was there any consideration given to changing the hours to kind of make it work, like 2 to 10 or whatever, as far as how that, be more flexible with the hours is what I'm curious.
No, absolutely. Unfortunately, this is something that's really kind of dictated by the court system, not to provide for coverage during non-business hours. It was designed specifically to capture the non-business hours. So it takes us to 10 p.m. And then if they don't get a rain before 10 p.m., they get health insurance.
Okay.
What I understood, it's not something that's a daily thing, so you couldn't have an alternate shift, I guess. Is what you mean.
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries. PS8, resolution authorizing a reclassification of one position in the district attorney's office.
Move it.
First by Legislator Mangano, second by Legislator Walpole. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Terry.
Other than that,
HS, Human Services.
I'd like to make a motion to move this 1, 2, and 4 as one.
I have a motion to move HS 1, 2, and 4 as a block.
Second.
Second by Legislator Mangano. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries. Thank you very much. EP2, resolution amending capital project number 80, Oswego County Government website project. First by Legislator Walpole, second by Legislator Mangano. Any discussion? This is continuation from prior, correct?
Yeah, there is a money left over in the old capital project from when the website was last redesigned 10, 11 years ago, so it's quite out of date. So what this will do is recharge that capital project so that Public Information and Tourism Office can seek proposals to advance our website with more modern technology and better capabilities.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries. Thank you. Health, we have nothing this month. IT 2. I believe this needs to be amended.
I'd like to make a motion to amend IT2, including the salary of this 6 compensation, which is 90.
Salary be
Grade 6.
grade 6 is 95,347.
Am I correct?
Yes.
I thought we were doing grade.
Grade 4 was for
You mean staff, right? Staff.
90. Steps.
Steps.
Yeah,
Yeah.
grade, yeah. Yeah. Step 6, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Yeah, right, or that was.
Yeah.
What is it again, I'm sorry?
It should read, what legislator Walpole's proposing is grade 80, step 6 at 95,347.
That's what I proposed was the amendment.
Okay,
First, second.
I got a second by legislator Magino. I got a second, wow, that's 2 seconds.
Multiple seconds.
Multiple
Okay.
seconds, okay.
I need to get one.
All right, so we're first and second. Any discussion on the amendment? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries, thank you. Now back to the resolution as amended.
The original amendment is for Carl, bring Carl Schmidt on as the director of solid waste.
Okay. At the amended
Correct.
rate. Any discussion?
Just wanted to say Carl's done an outstanding job at stepping up, and he's been doing good, and I'd like to welcome him.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries. Thank you very much.
Have fun.
Oh, thanks.
All fun.
Good luck.
Oh, yeah. He's already reconsidering.
IT 3 also needs to be amended.
I'd like to make a motion, Mr. Chairman, to amend IT 3 to include the salary of grade 80, step 4. I could have read that.
Step 4.
Grade 80, step 4, which is 92,550.
Okay, so I have a first,
Second?
I have a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries. Now, on the original resolution as amended, I have a first,
Second?
I have a second, Legislator Lockwood. Any discussion?
Once again, just like to welcome Sean Walker, 30-plus year employee, moving up the ladder into the director spot, and he helped us out last month. He stepped up, and under the guidance of Chris, stepped up, making a lot of changes. Things are going good. Just like to welcome to the spot.
Keep us posted on what's going on.
Very much so.
Congratulations.
Every day.
Every day.
Yeah, we couldn't have a better pick for the position. It's a very.
I know, but-
Thanks, Lori.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries. Congratulations to both of you gentlemen. Good luck. IT 4, resolution authorizing budget modification, highway, gas, and oil. First by legislator Walpole, second by legislator Lockwood. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries, thank you. IT 5, resolution authorizing budget modification, airport. First by legislator Walpole, second by legislator Magino. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries, thank you. Resolution authorizing creation of one temporary position in the highway department. First by legislator Walpole, second by legislator Evans. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Carries. Mr. Walker, keep us informed on what's going on with that,
Yeah, no problem with that.
just so we, you know. Yes. That's one. IT 10, 11, and 12 were walked into committee. They're not in the packet. So what I'd like to do, and they're all intertwined somehow, so what I'd like to do is bring Brandon forward to speak on 10, 11, and 12, and then we'll act on them. Brandon.
So what we've got going on, my apologies for the late submission. Grant offers came in after agenda items were due, and I have to turn them around by August 5th, so apologies on that.
Understood.
What we've done is this IT 11 capital project 0622, We appropriated $170,000, which was our 5% local share of the grant application. The grant award is not going to be for the full amount. We applied for a base bid of the runway rehabilitation. We also included add-on for drainage replacement and another add-on for runway safety area improvements. FAA did not award the 2 add-ons. So that brings the whole capital project down to, I think it was 1.8 million, so which reduces our local share also. So what we've already appropriated to capital project 0622 is too much. So I got the grant offer for that one for the 90%. The state will give us the other 5%. We've already appropriated our 5% plus additional. The additional 2 grant offers that I've got here for 11 and 12, or 12 and 13, I believe it is.
10 and 12?
10 and 12.
Because I had 10, 11, and 12.
Correct, yeah.
So that was for,
Taxiway
10.
B and D and the beacon replacement.
Okay, so that's
We
what-
can pull our local share from what we've over appropriated to that 062.
from IT 11,
That's correct.
and we're gonna bring the overage to IT 10, is what you're saying.
Yes, and 12.
10 and 12.
Yep.
Okay.
So no additional county funds necessary for these. We can accept the grants.
Yeah, we can accept the grants, and as well as the infamous Bob Hayes used to say, we're gonna move some money.
That's-
Okay, just moving money. Okay, so, IT 10, resolution accepting an FAA grant and establish capital project 0522 to replace and relocate the rotating beacon at the Oswego County Airport.
Make a motion.
We could, Legislator Walpole made a motion to move IT 10, 11, and 12 as a block.
I'll second that.
I have a second to Legislator Lockwood.
Yeah.
Do you have questions?
No,
Okay.
I'm just trying to jump ahead.
Ah, see, I just,
So,
you know what, I want all my committees sitting out at that, so I can see everybody in one. Hey,
I'm gonna be sitting in the middle.
all we need. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, and FB1, this would normally go through government. Unfortunately, this came up a little after government. Our good county clerk.
Well, you know, Justice Roberts didn't work around our committee schedule. I'm sorry, it just happened that way.
FB1, resolution authorizing budget modification on Oswego County Clerk's Office to transfer funds into county clerk's additional hours. The clerk has funds within his budget. He can move around to cover some additional hours. As we know, there's been a whole bunch of changes with the fiscal permit process, and they are getting quite inundated by this. Would you like to elaborate at all? Or?
Well, we, the first, packets were due Wednesday. That Thursday, they put this case out about 10:30, and we were kind of flying the plane and building it as we were flying it there. So we finally have a system down now where we have a restriction lift form that we're filling out, sending it with the packet up to the judge, doing background checks if they're needed at that point in time, depending on when the date of it expired. And then we started getting them back here. It was Tuesday. We started calling people to come and pick up their unrestricted cards. So, long story short, it's a very intense labor process for our office. You have to pull the packet, you have to make sure the form is filled out in completion, get it all together, send it to the judge. When it comes back, we still have to print the card, make sure the packet's put back together the correct way and filed the way, and then the people actually have to come in and pay for the card. In the end, we have 2,000 in our postage that will be fine to move. Put my additional hours. We never had to really use additional hours before in the clerk's office, only for certain things of this nature. So a lot of changes coming at us. This is just going to affect the Supreme Court case. September 1st, there's a lot of changes that are coming down from the governor. I personally am hoping that it gets, somebody files some lawsuits and gets this out, but that's my own opinion, and we'll see what happens there. Because September 1st, there's going to be a lot more changes coming, and on top of that, we also have a ton of packets that have been sold. Just so for your information, all of last year I sold 1,262 packets. So far this year, as of July 5th, I sold 852. So we're really moving pistol permit packets to the office. All of them get returned to our office, so we have to process them there and get them on up to the sheriff's at that point. So a lot of work going on, and we still have to keep up with our filings, our deeds and mortgages, judgments, all of that.
Regular day to day.
Yeah. So definitely moving this additional hour will give us a little bit of help. I have at least, I think this will at least get us through the bulk of the beginning of this, and then we'll really, it'll start going.
We gotta act on something more later.
Well, we had, and just so everybody knows, there's roughly 6,000 restricted permits in our county. So if you're told that you can be unrestricted, it doesn't matter what your card says, you want it to stay unrestricted. So everybody's going to be coming in and trying to go through the process. So.
Got a first by legislator Walpole, second by legislator Mangano. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries, thank you. I was down in the clerk's office this morning, or this afternoon. He's got quite a little process going on. He's got a nice little train of how it's going through. It's working well, so good luck. You're gonna need it as well. Reporting departments, Department of Social Services.
Yes, I'm asking for a request for a salary set for our DSS Director of Services. You just approved the addition of a grade A supervisor that is not, civil service titles. It's actually, you can think of that as an assistant director. And by putting another level there, we need to also increase the director of services.
So this director of services is moving on to a management type position?
No, this director of services is seated. She is already there, but our redesign creates an assistant director, which would come in at about an 8% above a grade B supervisor. And those supervisors, grade A and B, aren't supervisors. Civil service title, you can think of them as managers. So they're managing units where there's maybe 6, 7, 8 senior caseworkers, that's our supervisors.
Mm-hmm.
And then each one of those supervisors carry 5 to 7 caseworkers. So it's quite a large scope of work. But there is a need for an assistant for that director position. You may recall that this will be my 3rd director of services that since I came 6 years ago, each time there was a turnover of that position, the commissioner, I served as the director about 6 months each time, and it's not a safe way to cover that base. We need someone who can stand right up quickly to that role in our department.
Okay.
I got a first by legislator Walpole, second by legislator Emmons. Any questions? Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries. Thank you. Let's see. Julie, you're up.
So in the packet and the revised agency report, as per suggested after the last FMC meeting, we added another section onto the report. I don't know if you saw the position vacated after the vacancy was suspended. So it's not many positions on there right now. This was done as of June 12th. They don't list any dates filled, but 3 of them on this report have been filled. Obviously next month it'll be much longer, 30 longer. So, but to get to the savings as of today, as of June 12th, it's a 42% increase. Same time last year, at a savings of $3,538,514.
Very good. Phil?
Yes, I passed around the variance report. This is a 6-month snapshot. I ran it as of the end of June. Shows that inflation is hitting us. We have spent more and a little bit more of our budget, a little over 3% more of our budget by the end of June than we did the year before. So we're going to keep a close eye on that. It's the first year that we've ever seen increases. We're usually below where we were the previous year. The second thing I passed around as we began looking at what we do regarding our workforce and the difficulty we have in recruiting people. This is an article that came out from the International City County Managers Association. It gives a good overview of what's happening to local governments across the country as a result of what they call the Great Resignation. It doesn't provide detailed solutions, nor do I want to talk about them in public, because it would be that's a subject of union negotiations in some ways. But it does give you a good overview of what is happening and some general ideas of different ways to think about how we recruit and retain employees. So I thought it was a good introduction piece for as we move forward in that effort. The other thing that's in your packet is I put into every committee's packet brief summaries of legislation that the State Assembly and the State Senate passed this recent session that affects or is related to this committee's work. And I did that so that if any of these spark any of your interests, and I gave you the bill numbers so you can go read the full text. If there's anything you feel the county should weigh in on, either through a letter or through a resolution to the governor before she signs or vetoes any of these, let Jim or I know so we can take care of that. A couple of committees have given us some ideas of things we should weigh in on, and we'll follow through on that. But these, there's a mixed bag here. Piggybacking extension, so that purchasing we can still piggyback on other municipalities' contracts if we feel they're good. They're going to create a civil service commission to study overhauling the way civil service works and the testing procedures. That's one to keep an eye on because it could either go bad or good for us, so we want to keep an eye on it. They're offering local governments the option to offer disability retirement for deputy sheriffs at 3/4 of their pay. So that would be something that if you want to find out more about, we can have HR cost it out and that kind of thing. They are also have passed a law that requires municipalities to buy salt that is only mined in the United States. You can't get it from anywhere else. So that may, that's going to impact the highway department. Those are largely the bills that affects us. A lot of bills in other communities affect us financially, but I thought that we'd be interested in these four. So if there are, anybody has any questions or want me to look into any more of these, I will. I don't know if Julie, if you know more about the Civil Service Commission that they're going to create, but I think we need to keep an eye on it.
Oh, yeah. Well, I know this probably the fall conference will discuss this, but I think it's going to be years. I know just a simple removal of a calculator statement took years. I mean, it's really ridiculous, but I know part of it is they're looking to computerize and update the more into the 20th century of how they do exams with a computerized program, and so we'll see.
There, if you all received copies of all the other committee packets, there are similar memos in those that are going to affect us financially, if you want to peruse those. One of the bills that the state legislature passed that the governor, I'm told, is iffy on signing is the ability for us to seek reimbursement for shared services projects that go back 2 or 3 years rather than 1 year. The governor prefers 1 year. I'm told the Assembly and Senate passed a law that would allow us to go back several years in our shared services plans and do projects that never got off the ground and still get reimbursement for them. So we've shared services panel that I had meet last week, I believe, week before, voted to have me send a letter to the governor in support of that legislation to allow them to go back and do projects since 2019 rather than only do projects that are 1 year out.
Very good. Thank you. Anything else, Phil?
No, unless anybody's got any questions.
I'm sure we'll peruse through that. And we'll let you know if we see you.
Okay.
For this meeting. Kevin?
Just everyone should see the reserve, and sales tax. If you notice on sales tax, the last 2 payments were less than the previous year. And basically, not to get in the weeds, most counties saw roughly 16.3% difference. We averaged higher 16.3 throughout the year so far. They did a reconciliation. Most counties are now at 10.3. So not to get in the weeds, it's the state doing actuals versus guessing what it was through code. If you need more information on it, I don't know if it's something even, to worry about at this time. We're still 2 million up and 2.1 million for the year, so we'll continue watching that closely. The only other thing was a couple counting items. Number one, I have retained Director Malecki to oversee the ARPA funds for my office. And it's just basically, they're just on kind of like on retainer. So if I exceed my amount, I'll come to the legislature for approval to keep them on. But this is just to make sure that when the feds come knocking for the audit, our department's covered. And the last, actually, it's nice to see the DAs here. I know some of you have asked me about the seizure monies, and I had the opportunity to talk to the assistant DA, and it sounds like, I know you did a resolution wanting to transfer that over to the sheriffs, and I had, again, I was like Commissioner Malecki, just coordinated. That's it. I don't want, and for some reason it's slowed. But the assistant DA assured me that there's been discussion and that you're going to get back to me, so. And actually, can answer that. Sure. We have some of the funds lined up for the audit. We are waiting to see if some of the funds are being held by Oswego PD, because over the last couple of years, OPD had actually been the repository. And so some of those monies are placed with the bursar's office. And so we're waiting to hear back from OPD on a few cases to know if that money's there.
All right, excellent. So that should happen. Again, I've really taken a 30,000 foot view at it. So let the DNM and the DA office and sheriff's worry about it. So that's great. Excellent. So that should be taken care of. Other than that, that's it.
Yeah, as usual, any questions, please go directly to Kevin.
Oh, the auction too.
Oh, yeah. What, when is that?
The actual, it'll be the 18th of August, but there's 30 days. And I urge the legislators, please do not, if a constituent calls you, direct them to me. Don't listen to their crying, don't listen to their yelling, don't listen to anything other than, I'll, get a hold of the treasurer, please.
We should all have his number on speed dial.
Please.
Let Kevin handle it. Holly?
Okay, we just completed the Munis upgrade training for purchasing. Right now, I'm working on a staff training and development plan. And Bill, Rich, and I and Betsy, just looked at a contract management system, and I thought Rich should come in today and talk about it. We were pretty impressed. It would make purchasing's life easier, and it would stop us from looking for contracts. Right now, no one knows where contracts are. That's the biggest, I think, downfall when purchasing went to Onondaga. But there's a lot of different kinds of contracts, and they're all over the place. This would mean that all our contracts would be in one place, and we would all be able to access the contract and all the supporting documents.
Yeah, it's, I was contacted by Steve Aquario at NISAC, and he had another vendor demo a system that was used by, I think, Dutchess County. And I asked if they knew what Munis was. They didn't know what Munis was. This system was developed in Ontario County by their county attorney's office with a software developer. It tracks contracts by department, can put limits on the contracts. Ontario has Munis. They use Munis. This also allows for e-signatures. It allows for vendors to upload certificates of insurance and other information. You can have the resolution with the contract, and it's searchable many different ways. HIPAA, addendums, if you want to see if you're doing a HIPAA audit, which contracts have the business associate agreement. You can put revenue contracts in versus contracts that we're paying people to do things. You can put grant, you can flag by grants, you can flag by mandated services. There are a variety of things that are, it's very you toggle yes or no. It's very user-friendly. They did a demo, they got us a proposal. We've got to digest that, look it over. What I'm thinking is if there's interest, we could ask for a demo for the committee, or if legislators are interested, at some time have them take a look at it. Ontario uses it, Oswego uses it right now. It's new. A software company is based out of Pittsburgh, and I like the fact that they have Munis as well. Munis doesn't have the capability to have a vendor e-sign a contract, or doesn't have the capability to track HIPAA addendums and things like that. And the problems with contracts is we have a process, but you know it's a certain vendor, but you don't know the year, or you don't know the resolution. It could be a 5-year contract. These will flag expiration dates on contracts. They'll send out renewal emails. I think they said 2 months ahead of time, so you have enough time to get to the floor. And then the week before, you get an email every day that this contract is going to expire. So we can track things that way as well, which is very helpful because we have contracts that lapse and just continue without renewal, without amendment. And they should either go back out to bid, or should be renewed, or should have their terms looked at. Sometimes we do it because they're favorable terms, and we're paying less for salt than, we don't want to, stir the pot. But so sometimes we need to look at this.
So this is countywide.
Be countywide, all contracts,
Yes,
all revenue and expense contracts.
and agreements. Right now, we
yeah.
keep those separate. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Some departments keep theirs, some stay in purchasing, some are in the county attorney's office. We don't know where they are.
So this will centralize all that
Yeah,
stuff.
we file by department generally, by department by year is how we file. And so if you wanted to know how, in the health department, for example, they have contracts where they are paid to do things, and they have contracts where we pay them, pay people to do things for them. So you can see what the revenues are by contract versus the expenses by contract. So I think it's very interesting, and I think it merits further examination.
This was talked about back and forth a little this morning between Phil and I and Holly and I. And I knew you were bringing this forward today. I think look it over, see what you come up with. There's a few pros and cons from what I've seen, but I guess you guys are going to hammer all that out.
Yeah. Greg was on the call as well. Greg Powlin and Bob Brown
Right.
were on the call too. And they were going to follow up with the developer. They had some questions, which I'm not sure what the answers were on that. But the setup would be, the other thing that neglected to mention, there's other features. I'm not going to go through all of them, but they have templates for agreements that can be populated by, once the vendor file is uploaded by Munis, it populates the vendor's name, address, tax ID, and you could populate the contract, put the scope of services in, it's done. And if it needs a HIPAA addendum, check a box. If it needs a DOT addendum, check a box. So most of the contracts are standard. Some, like Microsoft, we're never going to be able to get them to our terms. You have to go with their license. So it's interesting, and we'll take a look at it. We'll get back to you.
Sounds good. Any questions on the software? Okay, very good. Having said that,
Motion to adjourn.
got a first to adjourn?
Good.
Second? Multiple? We are adjourned. Thank you very much.